Boyfriend 27 discovered his parents have an open marriage. It is now doubting the whole institution. My boyfriend and I, 27 female, have been together 5 years. Now that a lot of our friend group has started to get engaged and married and we are both about to turn 28, we've been talking about it more. I've made it clear that my intention is to be married and not forever just dating. He has agreed. He has been alluding to getting engaged on a trip we have planned in December where my whole family will be there. Then a few weeks ago, he thought he discovered his dad in an affair, to which he told his mom about. Well, turns out they have an open marriage due to his mom's low libido. Apparently, they had a dead bedroom for years until they opened things up. Obviously, this is something they never wanted to share with their son, but they came clean rather than having him believe his dad was just cheating. This has been quite messes things up for him. He seems kinda lost, and has made comments about how this whole perception of his parents and marriage as a whole has changed. Now, whenever the topic of us getting married comes up, he acts really uncomfortable and changes the subject. This past weekend, after a night of drinking, he admitted he doesn't even know if he sees marriage in his future anymore. I don't know what to do. I love him and want to be with him forever, but marriage is 100% my intention. I have no desire to forever be boyfriend and girlfriend. I want to be sympathetic to what's going on with him as I'm sure it's hard, but at the same time my position on marriage is not and will not change. I don't want to make an ultimatum right now, but at the same time, if marriage was 100% ruled out, I would leave him. He hasn't quite said that, only expressed doubt in the institution, so I don't want to say that explicitly just yet, but I also don't want to waste the rest of my 20s with someone if there's no future. What should I do? Edit. He does have a therapist he speaks to weekly. I would assume he has talked to her about this, but those discussions are between the two of them. We have not done couples counseling, but it's something I would be open to. Because I keep getting asked why I aspire to get married, here is a copy-paste where I answer that question. Formal commitment in front of family, friends, church, and government. Legal recognition that isn't provided to all domestic partners. Tax benefits. Religious reasons. Conditioned societal respect that married couples tend to get compared to people just dating. A more stable environment to raise kids. Lots of studies that show children do best with 2 married parents. I don't want to be 40 and referring to my long-term partner as my boyfriend or partner. I want that to be my husband. More as well, but those are some of the major reasons. I'm not advocating that everybody gets married, but it is something that I want. Didn't realize I'd get attacked so much for wanting to get married, considering just about every country the vast majority of adults get married. Now for the top advice. I think he needs more time to process this, and that you two should table discussions of marriage for a while. He only found out within the past few weeks, right? I would encourage him to consider seeing a therapist if he thinks it would be helpful for him to have a neutral sounding board for his feelings on this. It makes sense that this freaks him out. It is difficult for him. Give him some time and some space. Don't make any big decisions all of a sudden. Exactly this. Marriage is a decision that impacts your entire lifetime. Something traumatic like this could take months to cope with. Best to let him figure things out for a while without a lot of pressure. This is good advice. When he's had time to process, it's probably worth mentioning that different things work for different people. Some people have a very traditional marriage with traditional roles. Some are happy to be together in a traditional relationship but never formalize it. Some have committed to relationships but being others into the bedroom with them. Some allow being intimate outside of marriage separately, and so on and so on. It sounds like his parents started more like the first, but had a problem and their solution was to make it open physically. That's fine if it works for them. Opie made it clear that marriage is a life goal for her. That's completely reasonable. He likely will get over what he learned about his parents, but he also might decide marriage isn't for him. That would be unfortunate for the two of them, but also completely reasonable. There are all sorts of things that can make two people who love each other not compatible as mates, or not compatible without significant compromises. The trick is finding someone who you love, and who you can share a life with without compromising so much that you regret it. I think your post implies a few things, but doesn't outright say them, so I'm going to go out on some limbs. Forgive me if I'm off target. It sounds like he admired his parents' lasting and successful marriage, and saw it as a model for himself. And now that he's learned they're open, he sees their marriage as unsuccessful or unhappy. Has he considered that they do have a successful marriage still? And that one of the reasons it has lasted is because of the open arrangement, not despite it. It sounds to me like the parents realized there was a serious issue with their mismatched libidos and implemented a successful solution that allowed their marriage to continue. That's a good, admirable thing. Can your boyfriend allow himself to see it that way? Yeah, I think this is spot on. Especially considering it came off the back of thinking his dad cheated. Emotions were high. He was hurt and disappointed and now thinks that their marriage was not as successful or happy as he assumed. But for all he knows, the open marriage helped it be successful and happy. OP maybe think or some open questions to ask him. Help him get to the bottom of what he's feeling. It's been a few weeks. You need to bring some chill. I understand this is upsetting and disappointing, but alluding to getting engaged in December isn't something you should have been holding him to in the first place. And it's perfectly fair for someone to change their mind. It is an issue for you that he changed his mind, but it's not an unfair thing he is doing to you. It's the fundamental truth about what he's experiencing. You're not going to address it by whining about fairness. Tell him your word. Tell him you don't want to be a forever girlfriend. Be prepared to tell him what marriage means to you. Ask him to define his relationship with you, not on the basis of his parents' agreement or choices. If you struggle to find common ground, see a therapist together to explore how your relationship moves forward. Next story is titled, "A guy I was seeing broke up with me over adult movies, and I'm at a loss." I, 28 female, was dating this guy, 31 male, for about 6 months, and things were really going well, until a conversation we had seemed to change that. We were at his house. He was cooking us dinner and we were just having some cocktails hanging out, when somehow the topic of turn-offs in a partner came up. I asked what his were, and it was pretty typical answers. Lying, cheating, being disrespectful, laziness, and healthy habits. Nothing surprising. He said I didn't check any of those boxes, and that was what he liked about me. When he asked what my turn-offs were, the first thing I blurted out was that I found men who watch adult materials unattractive. I've had to tell previous partners this, that it's only been a real issue one time in my past relationships. He just kinda nodded, and then asked me, what do you not like about men who watch this stuff? I said I think men who watch a lot of it have unrealistic expectations from women in the bedroom, and in my experience, they aren't as good of lovers. He just smiled and said he understood. We ate dinner, watched a movie, I fell asleep, and I went home after I woke up around midnight. We usually fool around, but we both worked in the morning and it was late. He walked to my car and kissed me goodbye. Everything seemed fine. Fast forward to the next day, and he calls me to tell me he doesn't think we should see each other anymore. I was shocked. I asked why he was saying this, and he said that he is one of the guys I was talking about last night, and he doesn't think we're compatible. I honestly wasn't putting 2 and 2 together and asked what he was talking about. He said he enjoys adult movies and get off to it a few times a week. He said watching it is fun, and he doesn't feel like it's ever impacted his performance. It hasn't, he's a good lover. But he said I shouldn't have to lower my standards for him, and I shouldn't have to feel guilty about something he enjoys. I said it was a conversation we could have later, and I didn't find him unattractive because of it. He repeated what I said the night before practically verbatim, and told me he really likes me and understands why I feel the way I do. He said he knows I'll meet someone who shares the same values. Anytime I try to explain I didn't mean it the way it came out, I just stumbled over my words. He said he wishes me well and to don't be a stranger, then hung up. I waited a few hours, and sent him a novel of a text explaining that I didn't mean I literally don't find men who watch it unattractive, just that I find the material itself sleazy and unrealistic. He replied with something along these lines, that stuff you've seen in those materials that you think is sleazy is stuff I've done and enjoy. Like I said, OP, you shouldn't have to change who you are for me, and I shouldn't have to change who I am for you. Don't stress over it, and take care. I feel off. Like you took what I said the wrong way, and now thinks I'm a prude. Everything has been pretty vanilla so far, and I'm no prude, and I'm open to stuff. I really like this guy. He's hardworking, handsome, really funny, and overall just a good time. Super laid back. I'm not happy about how it ended. Has anyone else ever been through something similar? Should I just let him go? My sister said I should be happy he was honest and upfront with me early about it. I want to confront him in person. Any advice is appreciated. He took it literally like you said it, and now you are attempting to change your tune when he is being honest with you? I'm sure he sees that as a turn-off too. Yeah, getting to know each other, responding truthfully, and then backpedaling to try and change his mind sounds almost manipulative to me. Let it go. Like he took what I said the wrong way and now thinks I'm a prude. No, he didn't. You said before this that he repeated your words practically verbatim. He didn't take it the wrong way. He took it exactly how you meant it. You are now changing what you meant due to facts discovered about this guy that you don't want to lose. But this guy listened, didn't act rashly, thought about it, and communicated. Communicated wonderfully, I might add. A+ for him, and A+ for you up until you started trying to backtrack. Stop. You even said in the comments below that you would be fine with this for now if he eventually stopped watching. He doesn't want to stop watching, he doesn't want you to change him. Move on. He is 100% correct that your values do not align with his. We're compatible as long as this person changes XYZ, it doesn't work. He doesn't think you're a prude. He thinks you're not compatible. You need to move on. I couldn't agree more. This is spot on. Hi there. This may sting a bit. You were honest and true to yourself. He was honest and true to himself. He's done the right thing in splitting up with you. It's not because you hurt him or you have an incompatibility. You think you've told him he's a bad lover. What you have told him is that you find men who routinely watch and use these materials unattractive. He has said he's not going to change his habits. And why should he? This is your problem, not his. What you are doing now is reversing on being true to yourself. This is only going to make you more unattractive to him. Please do what you have to do to not send him any more explaining texts. It's not going to reverse what's happened. And girl, that's for the best. This was and still is a deal breaker for you. The fact you wanted it to be different with this guy does not change any of the facts. Grieve for the loss of this one, but not for too long. Then get on with finding someone who has the same values as you. That's what is going to give you your happy relationship. The thing is, he told me he watches it a few times a week and has stopped completely before we're in a serious relationship. As long as he stopped, if we took that step, I'd be okay. You're grasping at straws here. He literally said he shouldn't have to change himself. And now you're trying to say, well, maybe, and think he would stop for you. He said he's not interested in changing. Full stop. Don't try to change his mind. It sounds like he was kind in the way he split up with you. Respect that, cut your losses, and move on. Now for the last story. My husband made an inappropriate comment about my sister which got my entire family and her boyfriend uncomfortable, but he still sees nothing wrong with what he did. My husband, male 32, and I, female 29, have been married for 4 months. We've met 2.5 years ago. He's the type that likes teasing others and jokes about certain situations. Normally he's polite around my family, but occasionally throws some backhanded comments here and there that resulted in the person receiving those comments to be insulted. My husband would apologize and say he was just mewing around / teasing. My sister, female 20, has been affected the most by his teasing so far, but I only noticed it recently. He'd comment on her looks, the friends she hangs out with, her room, her beat-up car, etc. Sometimes go so far. He'd make inappropriate comments like when he saw her wearing a dress at my aunt's wedding. He made a comment about her thighs, which seemed playful but still inappropriate. He didn't even notice till I brought it up with him later. He explained he was saying the stuff randomly and promised to watch what he says around my family. He did it again days ago when my parents, my sister and her boyfriend were visiting. He was sitting with her boyfriend the entire time like they just became friends, even though they're not close, and seeing that her boyfriend has known us for 6 months only. My husband started talking to my sister's boyfriend, and out of nowhere dived into heavy stuff and kept asking inappropriate, intimate questions in front of my parents. I didn't know about that since I was in the kitchen. Mom walked into the kitchen to let me know they were all leaving before dinner. She looked upset, so I asked why, what happened, and she told me my husband embarrassed her, my dad, and my sister and her boyfriend by making an inappropriate comment about my sister. I didn't know the full story, and I couldn't make them stay, but I apologized profoundly. Then asked my husband what was going on, and demanded he tell exactly what happened. He said he and my sister's boyfriend were talking, and he asked her boyfriend if she was any good in bed. I was stunned. Then he continued saying he then told her boyfriend that he'd definitely pursue her if she wasn't an in-law, and that's it. He insisted everyone overreacted. I told him how upset my family, specifically my sister, was, and he said she was being ungrateful, since he was just telling her boyfriend about how good and wanted she is, and meant no harm. I said harm already done when he embarrassed my sister, her boyfriend, and my parents. I told him he had no shame, and should start learning manners and stop making shameless, inappropriate comments at my family's house. We had a fight that lasted for hours. He said I was stressing him out over nothing, and my sister was being too sensitive and should dump the insecure little boy she's dating if what he said offended him. I'm so sick of this attitude, and I'm not expecting things to get better since he sees nothing wrong with it. Okay, your husband wants to sleep with your sister, and since he can't, he's doing what immature little boys do. He's being mean to the girl he likes. Do you want to be married to a dude who actively wants to bang your sister? This is exactly it. He even threw in the she should dump her insecure boyfriend so he can have her to himself again. He was probably jealous of him. Opie is going to lose her sister if she doesn't leave this guy. Honestly, I would never trust my sister again since she let the harassment go on for so long and never addressed it. Your husband is harassing your sister. He doesn't see anything wrong with what he said. At this point, I doubt none of your family want him around, and by extension you. Is this something you're willing to continue to allow? Because he's not going to stop. Edit. And if you keep bringing him around her, you're facilitating and forcing her to be in contact with her harasser. Keep him away from her until you wise up and divorce him. Are we just gonna ignore the fact that he said he would pursue her if she wasn't an in-law? Not if I wasn't married or if we both weren't taken, but rather insinuating that if she wasn't close enough to Opie to reveal it, he'd probably cheat. He could be cheating already for all she knows. Opie, your husband isn't making jokes. Jokes are supposed to be funny. When no one was laughing the first time, he should have stopped. He's shown his true colors and all of you are tired of his crap. Divorce him and find a man that won't make inappropriate comments about other people and constantly making your family uncomfortable. Or at the very least, make him go to individual and marriage counseling.